All right, I'm thrilled to introduce our community today to Jonathan Boulware. He wrote this book, Take Control of Your Body Before It Takes Control of You. And his mission is to create a program for lifestyle behavior change, which actually led him to getting his certified personal training and health coach certificates. And I'm so excited about this. He changes not only his own lifestyle, it can like walk the walk. He can lead others in this same process. And like everything that he's experienced for himself is his wish for those that he gets to coach and pour his love over. So we're so lucky to have you today, Jonathan. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, Lindsay. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
I just our little bit of conversation before we hit record. I'm like, this is gonna be so easy. We're so alike, so aligned. And I can't wait for my community, our listeners, to have you in their ears today. So
Absolutely. I'm
again,
excited to be here. Thank you.
yes. So you have a question that you had asked yourself, and it kind of took you down this whole path of where you are today. Give us a glimpse into your journey and that question and how you ended up as a coach.
Yeah, sure. My mother, who's a great mother, passed away in 2014, and she had, like myself, had been dealing with obesity for many years. And in December of 2013, she was on blood thinners from having congestive heart failure, and she got a wound. And for some reason, the wound wouldn't heal, and she ended up being in a rehabilitation center. So I
Mhm.
was writing motivational notes to her to try to, hey, mom, when you get out of this, we're going to work on your weight. We're going to work on how we can overcome obesity. Because at that time, I was 300 pounds myself, so we'll do this together. And then I realized that as we were going through that process, my mother, my last good conversation with her, she told me, Jonathan, it's not gonna save me. My body is winning this battle. Please don't put yourself in a situation where you lose the ability to fight for yourself. And she died a couple months later. And during that time with my mom, I kept asking myself and her, what is it about that we can't change our lifestyle behavior, even when we know it's going to save our lives? Why can't we do this? At the time, I had a young daughter, and the guilt that I lived with because I wouldn't lose weight at saying I got to be there for my daughter, I've got to be there for my wife. I just felt so angry and so frustrated and a lot of anxiety about myself because I didn't think I'd be there for her. That's what really led my journey to say I've got to answer this question initially for myself so I could be here for my family, but then as
Mhm.
a promise to my mother. And that's really where the journey started after she had passed away.
I need tissues while we talk, apparently. I'm like holding back some pretty
Yeah.
major tears that could start coming. Oh, so where did you feel like when your journey started, what has been some surprises for you where you thought it was going to look a certain way and then all of a sudden it unraveled into this, like, oh, this is how it becomes sustainable, or this is actually what I care about.
Yeah, fantastic question. Every time I tried to lose weight, it was always I'd wake up in the morning and that's okay. I'm going to fix great meals. I'm going to start exercising and I'm going to start doing all these things. And it never lasted. Sometimes I would, but it never lasted. Looking back now, well, the reason why it never lasted is because I was so frustrated with myself. When the adversity came, when that voice in my head said, what are you doing? You can't do this. When I looked in the mirror and I didn't see any results, it just affected me emotionally. So where I started, and what's going to surprise most people when I say this, is what changed is I forgave myself. I had to
Mm.
forgive myself for the decisions I made. I had to forgive myself that I couldn't save my mom at the time. That's the way I thought. And I had to forgive myself that I felt like that I wasn't being a good father because I wasn't putting myself in a situation where I'd be in good health for my daughter. And once I started to forgive myself and started to show myself self-compassion,
Mhm.
then my eyes really started to open up and say, okay, let's really focus on learning the answer to that question of how are you going to change your lifestyle so that it's not this yo-yo effect, but it's more than just physical wellness, it's mental wellness as well. And that's where it really, when I forgave myself and realized, understood the power of that, that's when my life really started to change.
So I think that some of our listeners could say, I hear you. I too need to forgive myself, but man, is it hard. Like, how does somebody get to that resolution of I really did forgive myself. I didn't just say it, I didn't just try to act it. Like you obviously feel it in your heart and soul that
I
you
did.
Yeah, is that a religious thing for you? Like, is it spiritual or was that therapy or a combo? How did you get there?
It really wasn't spiritual at the time. I guess when I look back at it, maybe it was. For me, I just wrote down I wrote down in my book specifically what I wrote. And I just read that to myself every day because typically, in my experience, when you forgive yourself, you don't wake up the next day and everything's gone. You still have those emotions, you still have those feelings. I wish it would just erase it that quickly, but it doesn't happen that quickly. So when I forgave him, I wrote it down and I would just tell myself that. But really, what really
Mm.
helped me is if you had a best friend and your best friend was struggling, you would not say, "Hey, best friend, you're a loser. Don't try this. Why are you doing this?" You would give them every bit of encouragement. And so I just treated myself, "Hey, I'm your best friend." So I would just continue with those positive affirmations. And after a while, it wasn't as hard as it was in the beginning because that voice that said, "What are you doing? The forgiving yourself's not going to work." That voice got less and less and less. And so that over time, it really started to take effect.
Right, which is what we see out of repetition, right? Like we have
That's
to put in
exactly
the
right.
reps.
That's
Yes.
exactly right.
And then it comes down to the show up factor, like to not let our brain talk us out of, even if we're
That's
10 days in, 20 days in, of going, does this even matter anymore? And
that's
you
right.
kept showing up to it. So did it just become part of routine for you to some extent, again, before the full belief system kicked in?
It became routine because I
Mm.
trained myself over time not to focus on the physical. See, for me, when I looked in the mirror, it just reminded me of how disappointing I was as a father, as a son. And so I really had to get away from that process. So what I started to realize, and that's why I became a certified personal trainer and health coach and behavior change specialist, because I wanted to understand one, human behavior, but what was going on inside of my body. So what happened, Lindsay, is as I started to walk or I started to do different things, to exercise, I realized that I was getting healthier on the inside, even though I may not like what I look like on the outside. But on the inside, I was getting healthier physically, mentally, because I was taking steps to take control of my body. And I used that energy, that realization to start fueling my intention and my desire. And once I was able to flip that, not look at my stomach when I was in the mirror, but look at how I was advancing my life, even though I didn't like myself physically, it really started just to snowball in a really good way. And so that's how I was able to change.
We cannot leave this because you just gave the best example. And it would be my scale example for individuals who get caught up in the scale number being the result. You were maybe more a little like more visually, physically focused,
Yes,
and maybe not. Maybe that number meant just as much to you too. But this was your game changer. And I think that it's the interesting piece of going, I have clients stuck in that where they can tell you all the positive things that are going on,
right.
and yet still the physical piece or the number piece wins out. And at some point, that didn't win out for you. Like you let the internal piece win.
I
So
did.
you always like want to take somebody's journey and package it up in a bow. So that's why I'm asking so many questions. Is
That's
it's just
okay.
like, again, is that journaling? Is that like what brought your attention to it every day?
Well, one, I wrote down my why I wanted to change my life. I got brutally honest with myself. And then I just wrote it down and I did journal. I started writing notes to myself. I journaled to me and I journaled to my mother and saying, "Hey, this was a good day, or this was not a good day, or this is what I'm focused on." And at the end of every journal, I would write, "Hey, Jonathan, you're a good person. Love you, man. You are doing good stuff. Don't worry about the scale. Don't weigh yourself. Just keep doing what you're doing. And mentally, you will become stronger, and the physical part will take care of itself." And that's what I just kept reminding myself every day. What I would encourage people is it just doesn't happen one time. And there's always adversity that's out there that says, "What are you doing? I'm going to throw you off course and get back to the way you used to live your life." But after a while, my why and my forgiveness and my intention was able to beat that voice down pretty good. But that took some time. But journaling, writing down uh, affirmations that I knew would impact me in a very positive way.
You were able to talk to your future self
I
and
was.
what, mhm.
I spent a lot of time talking to my future self, saying, "Hey, no, 5 years from now, 10 years, whatever the case, who's the person you want to be?" And so start making those commitments now, and don't worry about these different things. And like I said, you don't wake up tomorrow being different. It's just every day you just chip away and just chip away and just chip away.
And I'm going to throw this out, and it's not that. this is what you're talking about, and I just want our listeners to hear it. It's the idea that our future self, that we're creating this identity, that we don't have to believe that identity in the moment. We probably don't believe it. Like, as you were saying, everything positive about yourself. Maybe in that moment, as you're writing it, you're like, I don't believe it yet, but I want to believe it. And I want that to be my future identity. And I think that's where a lot of individuals get hung up, that it's like so hard for them to create the future identity because they can't even get close to that belief system that it's available to them, that it's even possible.
That is an absolutely fantastic point, and I struggled with that, and it's a real thing, and I would tell people it's absolutely real thing. So what I did is I didn't wake up, oh, I forgive myself, and yes, I'm going to be this future person. I didn't have that level of confidence when I
Mhm.
first started. So how did I deal with that? I just left a door open, saying, "Look, I know you're
Mhm.
not 100% confident in yourself. Just leave a little openness that you can get there, just a little belief. Just don't shut the door completely. Just leave it cracked. You don't have to have it all the way open. You don't have to have 100%, just a little bit cracked. Let me get my foot in the door and see if I can just open the door a little bit, little bit, little bit." And that's how I started. It's not realistic to think, hey, if you've done all these years of beating yourself up, that you're just going to wake up, I'm just this confident person. I didn't set that expectation for myself, just a little crack. And then the crack got bigger, bigger, bigger. So that's how I started.
That's so good. Thank you. I have chills. I love that. Ah, yes. And I think you're just a hope story for everybody listening, going, maybe, just if you planted one seed today to let somebody know that they have this type of success available to them.
They absolutely do. It's never too late to start. And my wife has plenty of before pictures of me to prove that point for years of really me trying to, at that time, focus on the physical.
Mhm. And we had talked about this again a little earlier before we started talking on mic, but just that you do leave posted pictures on your website of all of you, of the now you and the past you and the vulnerability of throwing it all out to the world. And I'm guessing that that really affects people in this positive light. Like it's this, okay, you've walked my walk. You understand me. Like, do you get that comment a lot?
I do. As a matter of fact, when I was first doing my website, and I was putting all my pictures up when I was 300 plus pounds. And I do certain pictures with my daughter there when she was very young. Why do you want to put that up there? Isn't that embarrassing for you? I said, no, because there are millions of people, not that I'll reach millions of people, but there are millions of people out there that struggle with obesity. And obesity is more than just weight. It'll pierce every part of your life mentally. It is very much a disease, mental and physical disease. And I want people to be motivated by the fact that here's a guy that year, I think the earliest picture I have is from 2008, that struggled and was able to change his life both physically and mentally. And I want them to know when they first come there that, hey, he gets my pain because it really is a pain. It really is a pain. And what surprised me was just how much the mental pain just takes you down to where the point where you just give up so quickly. And so that's why I have those up there.
And then, as you're saying this, the mental piece, like, do you have a belief system that somebody can get to sustainable success without working on the mental piece?
No, and the reason why I don't believe that is because we always have this term, uh, death and taxes, the two guarantees in life. Well, the third guarantee is that you're always going to have adversity. If you haven't
Mhm.
already, there's always going to be something that comes up in your life that says either internal adversity where you are beating yourself up or external adversity by some tragic event that happens or small little cuts over time. There's always going to be something that can throw you off track. And if your mindset is not strong or in a place where you can fight against it, it's easy to go back to those things that make you feel comfortable, that make you say, well, this is a much easier path for me. So I think once you're mentally stronger, then it's much easier to stay on course, just to live the life you want to live because you are now that person. And so I'm very much a believer that the mental side, the mental health, is the only way really to have sustainable physical health.
It's the transformation, right? It's the
That's
like,
exactly right.
we truly change. When you think about old Jonathan, losing of your mom and other really life altering hard, or maybe it is the mini cuts. I like how you said that too. Maybe it wasn't something as drastic. How did you used to handle emotions like that versus now when you look at yourself?
Oh, when I used to, I would eat, I would say, okay, well, I'm stressed. I don't feel good about myself. And to this day, I look back, I'm like, and I would eat something that would somehow at that time would give me the relief. And
And it does.
does. And at night, I do the worst you could do. I would eat at night. And what I call is a justification habit, meaning that there are certain habits that are automatic that you don't even
Mhm.
aware that you're doing. But there are certain habits okay, I know I shouldn't be doing this, but you look for justifications as to why this is a good decision. It'll make me feel better. I'll start working out tomorrow. I'll start on Monday. This is just the one time. So I would look for reasons as to why that's a good decision. And then I
Mhm.
would make the decision to eat something that wasn't good for me. And then I always feel awful afterwards, but I'd find a way to make myself feel good about that decision. And so, yeah, and so that's old Jonathan. And those were the behaviors that got me to the point where I was physically unhealthy.
Well, and just again, for people listening, like I'm asking for this example, obviously, because you're not alone. This is so common, and food really, it is, it's instant relief. And we've proven to our brain that it's instant relief. And
That's
so
right.
then if the mental work doesn't get done with it, if we don't reprogram to what else is instant relief, and that's why I'm excited to hear about what that is for you now, that's why this is sustainable for you. It's why you don't look back and go, I might fall off, I might be back to 300 pounds. Like I don't think you have that belief system anymore because of all the change that you've done.
You're right. No, I don't. I know I won't. I know I won't only because I'm just because of the belief system, because of the person I am now. Not that I'm just this wonderful person. It's just the work that I put in to change my mindset and the life that I live, working on changing my habits, which took time, but I'm in a completely different place. And it's not about looking like six-pack abs and this thing. It's about it's going when I go to the doctor, because I'm 59 years old, when I go to the doctor, and he says, "All right, you run all your lab work." And he said, "Jonathan, you're really good here. You're really healthy here. Let's work on this." But I feel good physically. I've got the lab work to show the things that I'm where my body's improving, and mentally I feel good. So that's really and being able to live a functional life as I get older is really my focus now.
Hmm. Okay, so that's your visual. I feel like you very clearly know your fight for your body and like what health looks like and feels like for you. But give us like an in the moment where something hard happens in your day. What's your comfy blanket now? Like what do you lean into that gives your body reprieve or your mind reprieve?
I lean into the life that I want, remind myself of where I want to be when I'm 65, 70, and where I want to live a life where my daughter, when she gets married, I'm walking her down the aisle, or my wife and I were traveling, different types of things. And so I'll ask myself, it's a decision you're about to make right now going to support that vision of yourself. And
Hmm.
sometimes that works. Most of the time that works, and sometimes it doesn't. But the difference now is if I say, no, I still want to do this. I still want to make a decision that I know is not good for me because I just want it. I
Hmm.
don't beat myself up anymore. I say, okay, that's fine. I'm not mad at myself. I'm not angry. I'm not, hey, you're
Right.
this awful person. And so that change has made me, okay, let's just enjoy it and move on. That's a big
Hmm.
difference for me. Huge difference.
That's like the perfect storm of change.
It
Thank you.
is.
What
It
great.
is.
Yes. It's just loving ourselves into change.
It is.
And
It is.
and it doesn't feel, I literally just jumped off a call with a client before we jumped on this conversation because it doesn't feel like loving ourselves into change is going to make the ultimate change. Like that's another one that we just have to keep showing up to those loving behaviors of giving ourselves sleep, of giving ourselves meditation or breath work at the office or,
Right.
but in the moment, it's too easy to be like, it doesn't matter. This doesn't matter.
It
And it
does.
does.
It does, man.
Yes.
And patience. The biggest thing is patience because I wanted results quickly and I stopped stepping on the scale a long time ago. I do when a doctor makes me do it. But I stopped stepping on the scale because I want to be patient. I want to be patient with myself because
Mhm.
one of the first things you do when you step on the scale and you haven't lost and you have this vision of how much weight you're going to lose and it doesn't translate in the scale, you're like, ah, I, family version. I'm done. I'm going to quit this, and the frustration just overwhelms you. And so I stopped focusing on that, and that was a
Yeah.
big difference as well too.
Thank you for highlighting that. That time frame comes in to your point when you see the scale. All of a sudden, people's brains go to, I need to lose X amount by.
That's
And then
right.
that's pressure. And I did want to talk about fear with you because I think that you'll have a good story with this too. Like, do you still have moments where fear does creep back in of like you can catch your brain in a moment hearing it go, but what if? What if something happened and then this would maybe happen and I could see reverting back to that? Or do you feel like you're past that? You've worked through it?
No, I do have the fear, even though I feel like I'm past it. I don't think you ever really get. I lived so many years with obesity, the physical and mental challenges that one, I do have some of the fear, but two, I don't let myself ever re forget. And you would say, well, of course, well that shouldn't be that hard. But it once you start becoming the person you want to become, and you want to just close the door on that other person, I haven't done that because I want to remember what that was like, and not that it's not that hard to remember, but I do have the fear. As a matter of fact, some of the pictures that I put out there, like when I picture I sent to you, it's not what I look like now, but it's more of I always want to remember, so I look at some of the pictures that I have of me in the past, and just to
Mhm.
remind myself that don't get too big for your britches. Just remember, stay on course. Don't be so confident to feel like this can never happen to you again, and just to remind myself. So that fear is there, but it doesn't dominate me like it used to.
Mhm.
If that answer, hopefully, answer your question.
Oh, it did, absolutely. And just your I put the scale away comment. I'm seeing more and more individuals be able to do that. I do think there's a fear component wrapped in with that because it's like they can see the benefit of it, but then there's always the, oh my gosh, what if when I step on the doctor's scale, I see some, and I guess again, that's just time. It's just trust. And one, we don't have to have the doctors weigh us. I was going to tell you that too. Like we
That's
have the
right.
right to decline.
That's exactly right.
Um, for the most part, not always, but I
But the
don't
other
know. Yeah.
I was going to say the other thing too about the scale is it's not the best way to measure how healthy you are. I mean, the best way is your body composition. So your weight, as you know, people can weigh the same amount of weight, but their health is in two different stages. So what I would encourage people is number one, when you just go on a walk, you go on a 30-minute walk, um, you're getting healthier inside, even though you may not see it on the scale. Things are happening inside your body that are getting you healthier physically and mentally that the scale will never ever be able to tell you. And so if you walk and you understand, hey, I'm getting healthier, and the feeling of taking control of your body and your life and your mental wellness, that is so positive. And the scale will never ever be able to tell you that. And so that's why I would encourage people, the scale really does not tell you how healthy you are, either physically or mentally.
Yes, amen and preach. Yes.
Yes.
Ah, yes. Now to get people to really believe that. And again, like you really were able to grasp all these other benefits that were happening, is what I'm hearing out of you during your journey. And I think that's the maybe the hardest part. It's like one of those you can start to believe it and then you step right back out into society or social media and we're already like faced again with
Right.
the things that make us conscious or worried or fearful. So it's just an uphill battle for sure.
That's
And
very true. There's always reminders out there. Well, hey, you're overweight. It's not a good thing. Whether from the times that you put your clothes on to, like you said, the social reminders. There's always something reminding you that hey, you're dealing with weight and it's not a good thing. And so you really have to work on your mindset with all these distractions.
mhm. I agree. So this actually is a great segue into I want to hear how you work with clients. Do you work kind of like in a program type style, one-on-one, virtual? Give us your whole lowdown.
Before I started working with clients, I wanted to understand what was I actually going to work with clients on. And so when
Mhm.
I went back and I looked and I said, when I leave the doctor's office and the doctor says, Jonathan, you've got to lose weight and they'll hand you something like the Mediterranean diet and they'll say you've got to exercise. What they don't answer, which is not their job, but what they don't answer is, well, doctor, how am I going to overcome the obstacles? Like I'm mad at myself, I'm frustrated, or every time something happens, I want to go eat, or how do I deal with the adversity in my life that's causing me to do those things in the first place? And so I wanted to develop something that said, let's start there. Let's start with dealing
Mhm.
with that because those obstacles are going to stop you long before you see the benefits of any diet and exercise.
Mhm.
So what I do is I work with people in developing a custom lifestyle behavior change plan that's for them that says this is the plan I'm going to follow in order to when adversity hits, I'm gonna forgive myself. I have things like countermeasures. Countermeasures are when that voice says you're no good. What's your countermeasure that says yes, I am? I mean, so
Mhm.
that type of thing. So really developing those skills, those mental, really mental skills that help you along your journey when the adversity strikes. So that's what I do. And actually, Lindsay, and I'm turning into an online course. So I went to an online course that'll be released in January, where I walk them through this is where you are now. By the time you're done, you're going to have your lifestyle behavior change plan. It's not just a plan to eat. We don't talk about meal plans. We don't talk about exercise, only in the benefits of it. But we talk about, for example, the first step is understanding that you have a problem to solve and acknowledging that. And the next thing is understanding exactly what the problem is. So I walk them through that process of lifestyle behavior change because I want them to feel good about themselves
Mhm.
and that their plan will be sustainable for the rest of their lives.
Because they're creating it, because you're helping them with the individualized piece of
That's
this.
exactly right. Start where you are
Yes.
now. And of
Yes.
course, a big part of it is forgiveness and self-compassion is a huge part of it. Sleep. The things that people don't think about that are going to contribute to your overall health, but maintain it when, like I said, that adversity strikes. And so really that's what I help people with.
I love this. You kind of flipped it on its head as far as most people do dive straight in and they want, give me a meal plan, give me an
That's
exercise
right.
plan. And you're like,
Mhm.
whoa, 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 whoa. Let's talk the brain piece first.
That's right.
And it's nice because a lot of times if people go get success on the weight loss journey, they either figure it out that they need the brain piece or they've slipped back into the yo-yoing, right? And
That's
it's
right.
like you're giving them that success factor right up front. Do you get kickback? Do you get some people who are like, I get why you think this is important, but can't we just get to the give me the plan? I need a
All the
plan.
time. All the time. All the time. As a matter of
Yes.
fact, I start by saying, look, your plan is not going to be that I'm going to lose 15 pounds. I said that should never ever be a part of your plan if you want long-term change. Never.
Hmm.
Because number one, you have no, even if you do everything right from a physical standpoint, you have no control over if your body loses 15 pounds. It may not. You have no control over what it looks like. But what you do have control over is I'm going to walk for 10 minutes. I'm going to eat this instead of that. I'm
Hmm.
going to not allow myself to tear myself down when I look self. Let's focus on the things that you do have control over because the outcome will take care of itself. And so we
Hmm.
focus on those type of things. And a lot of that, like I said, a lot of that is mental. Know your why. Who's the person you want to become? I talked about self-forgiveness and having fun. People look at me like, have fun on this journey. And so I talk about how do you have fun even long before you cross the finish line. Enjoy having fun is a big part of
I love this. I'm going to be dumping this in everybody's lap so much this podcast episode to
it.
text people are going to be like, okay, Lindsay, we get it. Jonathan speaks your language.
I know I get passionate about this stuff, so
Oh, well, and you have to, right? Like it's one of those things because the other side, like we keep talking about the social media or the external piece, is strong.
it
So
is.
you need the passionate people on the other side to be like, hey, there's a different way and it works. And we just have to have people settle into that because it's not as flashy, it's not as sexy, it's not as
It's not.
fun.
It's not.
You're asking people settle in. We're along for the ride. We're going to do this until the day you die. Like that's not flashy.
It isn't.
They're going to love it later.
But what I teach them too is what I just mentioned is you're gonna have fun along the journey. You're gonna enjoy this. A lot of people think I'll be happy once I see the scale hit whatever weight I set for
Hmm.
myself. But my teaching is no, you're going to have fun long before you hit the finish line. You're going to enjoy this process. And I walk them through, and I'll give you a small example. Progress is one of the most powerful things that people can use. And when you make progress, in small progress, when you have small wins, there's a lot of research done on this, but when you have progress, it is so fantastic. But you've got to look at progress in different ways, meaning that progress not on the scale, but let's say, for example, in my case, I would eat 5 bad meals a day. So instead of saying, okay, I'm going to cut all those bad meals, If I just had breakfast and that was a great meal, when normally I would not had a good breakfast, but the rest of my day wasn't good, I would celebrate that because that was progress. One of my meals was fantastic. The other four, okay, I got to work on that. But once you start celebrating that progress and redefining how you look at progress, it's so eye-opening and you enjoy the journey. It's no longer this chore, it's
Mhm.
just this process that or this journey that you love.
Well, and this is the beautiful part about grabbing a coach like yourself. I believe, especially in the earlier parts of the journey, the individual needs the coach to project that progress back at them
That's right.
because it's
That's
very
it.
hard to see it and give credit, especially if you're coming from a place of guilt or shame
That's
or,
right.
mhm,
Oh, that I
that.
was trying to convince myself. I said, what progress? I mean, you look in there and you see yourself. And so you really have to, you need someone to say, no, look at when you had a bad night and you want to wake up the next morning and you want to go at it again, that's progress. Celebrate that and celebrate and
Mhm.
feel good about yourself. And so all those little
Yes.
things start to add up and build this momentum that becomes unstoppable.
Yes. It's one of my favorite things to do to clients is when they jump on and the first thing they're like, oh, it was a terrible week or whatever. And I'm like,
Mhm.
well, first just name the first like three things that went well. And they normally name five, and
That
you're
there you
like,
go.
There you go.
That is
Yeah.
that is fantastic. That is right. That is so smart and so fantastic.
And by the time they're done with the session, you're like, why again did you not think you had a good week?
That's
I'm
exactly right.
confused.
That's exactly right. And then when they
Yeah.
start training their mind to look for progress where they normally would not have looked for it in the past,
Mhm.
then the light bulb starts to go
Mm.
off. They're like, okay,
Mm.
I want more of this. I want more of this. And they start getting more and more.
Yes, I feel like that's the magic,
It
right? That's
is.
the
It is.
like, yes, you figured it out.
Yes.
Oh, this is so good. I just want everybody to experience you and your journey. I can't wait till your course is out. What's the best place for individuals to find you at the moment?
Best place is my website called youcanbeatabc.com. And
Perfect.
yeah, go on their website and you can connect with me. My blogs are up there and I try to share. I want to, my book, you can download that for free. It's my ebook. It's a promise I made to my mom that that book was never anything I was ever going to sell. That was something that I promised my mom that I would pay it forward. And then I just want to share a lot of positive messaging for folks, whether my blog, YouTube channel starts next month, and just really get out there and just so many people suffer from this, and I want to help as many people as possible. And that's my goal. It's
Yes.
a
Well,
dark place
forward
to be.
me your
Mhm.
YouTube station when it's out, and I will make sure that our community is aware of it as
I
well.
will. I will.
You're a blessing, Jonathan. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me. I truly enjoy this conversation. Thank you so much, Lindsay.
Thank you.